Waking up is hard some days, you know? Just knowing that he ain't gonna be there and you can't hold him.
It's been nearly a year since a 3-year-old boy drowned at James Allen County Park, and today the family of Duffy McLemore filed a lawsuit against the park and the county, hoping a court battle will force the park to make changes to protect other children. The family spoke exclusively with News 2's investigator Rebecca Collette.
Good evening. The family wants to see a fence and a gate. This is the property where he died. This is the spray pad where he played, and that's the dock where Duffy McLemore died. As the news broke, calls poured in to 911.
And was wondering if they need volunteers.
I found that 4-year-old.
According to this police report, Duffy's family was packing up to leave the park Saturday, May 14th, just before 5, when Bonnie Eagle, Duffy's mom, says she took her eyes off her 3-year-old son briefly, and he was gone.
It gets to that point where you start thinking about things that might be wrong.
Law enforcement responded to help with the search. Bonnie and Duffy's dad, Stephen, held on to hope.
I ordered his meal. I ordered his cheeseburger, only ketchup, Happy Meal. And 5 minutes later, they told me he was gone.
The blonde-haired little boy loved trains, his sisters, and the color blue. He was the baby Bonnie prayed for.
That's all I ever wanted was a baby boy.
His parents say Duffy didn't have a chance of surviving these waters. The family shared these pictures with me.
My son was definitely tricked. It looked like grass. It didn't look like water.
One explanation for the growth in the pond is the park isn't required to submit a maintenance plan to the Department of Health. According to a spokesman at DHEC, the ponds at James Allen County Park were dug in the 1980s. The state didn't require maintenance plans until much later. So these ponds don't have to meet the current standards.
The park doesn't have to worry about making tangible changes because they're protected by the state.
The family's attorney, John Harrell, says his only option to force change is this lawsuit. He called this pond an attractive nuisance,
which is a condition on real property that a child misinterprets as safe. The pond is covered with this green algae that looks like a hard surface, and so the 3-year-old mind thinks, I can step off into the pond.
When I visited the park, I found the water was cleaned up, but still there's no fence and no gate on the dock. Harrell says the government who runs the park has an obligation to compensate the family for their loss.
We pay taxes that pays for this insurance reserve fund, but then when Duffy dies and their parents bring the claim to them, they don't even respond to them, rather than paying them back the money that they've paid in taxes for the claim.
I reached out to the park 6 times about this story. They wouldn't respond to my specific questions about the family's claims or measures being taken to protect other children, but sent me a statement that reads in part, "We continue to extend our deepest sympathies to the McLemore family for their loss. We remain committed to making all of our facilities as safe as possible for the enjoyment of our many patrons, and will continue to follow and exceed industry standards for safety at each of our parks and facilities." There is a law in South Carolina that protects the state from huge judgments should the family win their lawsuit. The family says a check isn't their ultimate goal. They want to see changes at this park. Rebecca Collette, News 2.
We remind you, if you have something you want the I-Team to investigate, you can email us at iteam@wcbd.com. You can also call the I-Team hotline. The number's right there on your TV, 843-216-4949.